Well, good morning, everybody. Rob here in Bakersfield, California. Welcome to this week's Throwback Thursday. This episode is titled Messenger from God, or How I Foiled a Rape, Murder, Suicide. I was working Eastern Division, one-man unit, 46 John, up in the Sierra Mesa area. I get a radio call. Go see little girl's being held captive in her house by her older brother, and he's threatening to rape her, kill her, and then commit suicide. And she's supposedly being held at knife point. I'm just a couple blocks away, so I head right over there. It only takes me a couple minutes to get there. Dispatch advises me that I don't have any backup there, at least 10 minutes out. Well, I decide I can't wait for backup to arrive, so I want to go in by myself, take care of things. I walk up to the house. Front door's sitting wide open. It's all dark inside. Stereo's going. I see this little girl, about 11, 12 years old, sitting over on the fireplace hearth on the far side of the living room, facing the front door. And she sees me. Her eyes dart to the side of the room. I look over there, and I see her older brother sitting in a chair. See the back of his head is all I could see. And he's got his head down. He's sitting in the chair. So I put my fingers to my lips, indicating for her to be quiet and not say anything, and then motion for her to get up and come to me. She gets up, starts walking towards me. And she gets about halfway there, and her brother raises his head up and looks at her. And she freezes. So I motion for her to continue coming to me. Well, he turns his head and looks at me. So I put my lips, my finger to my lips again to him, indicating for him to just be quiet. He starts to get up out of the chair, and I motion with my hand for him to just sit back down, which he does. I get the little girl over to me at the front door, and I whisper to her to run to my patrol car. She does, so I back out. I see that the boy's still sitting in the chair. He's put his head back down. So I back out and go to my patrol car, walking backwards, keeping an eye on the front door. Get over there to talk to her, find out she had come home from school. Her older brother is acting really weird. He had told her that God had told him that he was supposed to have sex with her and then kill her and then kill himself so they could both go be with God. And I asked her, well, okay, was he armed with anything? She said he had a butcher knife from the kitchen laying in his lap. I asked if they had any guns in the house. She said no. I asked her, was there any neighbor you could go to and stay with until the other officers arrive? She said yes, and pointed to a house. I told her, okay, well, you run over to that neighbor's house, tell them what's going on, and then I want you to stay there with them until the other officers arrive for safety. She says okay, and before she runs off, she goes, please don't hurt my brother. I said, well, I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'll do the best I can. And off she runs to the neighbor's house. So I slowly approach back up to the front door that's still sitting wide open, because I don't know if he's moved from his position since I left. For all I know, he could be hiding right inside the door waiting to attack me. So I got my hand on the butt of my gun and the holster's unsnapped. And I take 2 steps inside the doorway. Well, the boy's still sitting in the chair with his head down. So I go ahead and snap my holster back, the safety snap back on it. Take my hand off the gun. step in. He looks up at me and he goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "I'm here to help you." He says, "Did God send you?" And I said, "Yes, he did." He goes, "Are you here to take me to God?" And I said, "Yes, I am." He goes, "Well, God told me I was supposed to rape and kill my sister and then kill myself." And I told him, "Well, God sent me with a new plan." Because rape and murder and suicide are sins. So he doesn't want you to do that. He wants you to come with me. And he says, "Okay." And he starts to get up. Well, he's still got the butcher knife in his right hand that was laying in his lap. And I go, "Well, wait a minute. You can't take the knife into heaven with you. God doesn't allow weapons in heaven. You got to put that down." And he looks at me kind of strange. He looks at the knife. And he sets it down on the end table. And I said, "Okay, come with me now." He walks over. I take his left hand with my right hand around the wrist, put my right hand on his shoulder, and start to walk him out. And we get to the front door, and he stops and he goes, "Wait a minute, how are you going to take me to God?" And I said, "Well, I have a magic white chariot out front. I'm going to take you to see God in." And he goes, "Okay." We step out the front door and he looks out and he goes, "Where's the chariot at?" And I go, "Right there," indicating my patrol car. He goes, "Well, it doesn't have any horses." I said, "Well, it's magic. It doesn't need horses. It's the new kind of chariot." He goes, "Oh, okay." So we begin walking again towards the patrol car, and as we're going along, I tell him, "Well, now, to get through the gates of heaven, you got to have the magic bracelets on." And he goes, "Oh, what are those?" And I go, "These." And I pull out my handcuffs and I start slowly putting my handcuffs on him. And he lets me do it, no problem. We get to the patrol car and I open the door. I tell him, "Okay, go ahead, have a seat inside." And he goes, "Well, where's my sister?" And I said, "Well, she's over at the neighbor's house. She's not going with us. She's going to stay here. It's not her time yet. So you sit here and be quiet. I'm going to go tell your sister that I'm taking you to see God. I'll be right back." He goes, "Okay." I shut the door, step around to the driver's side and turn my radio off inside the car. Go across the street to the neighbor's yard. Well, by now the neighbor and the sister have come out and they're standing out there watching. And some of the other neighbors have come out to see what's going on. I've kind of drawn a crowd. I asked the neighbors if they mind watching the little girl until the other officers show up to take her, custody of her, and hold her until the parents can get there. Because I got to call the parents and have them come home from work. And I was going to take the boy to county mental health. They said, yeah, they wouldn't mind staying, keeping her there. And I asked her if she was okay with staying with them, and she said yes. So I get on my portable radio and I tell dispatch it's all code 4. Suspects in custody, the little girl's safe across the street with the neighbor. But have the cover officer continue so she can make contact with the little girl and stay with her until they can get a hold of the parents to come home. I'm just about back over to my patrol car when the cover unit comes sliding around the corner. So I give her a quick rundown of what's going on and ask her to take control of the little girl. And she says no problem, she's going to do that and everything. And I ask her to go close the front door of the house. Then I'm going to be off the air and take the kid down to CMH. I get back on the radio, tell dispatch I'm heading out to CMH, and I'll be off the radio until after I get him in, because I don't want to upset him anymore. So I get in the patrol car and he wants to know, okay, am I going to take him to God now? And I said, yes, we're going to be heading to God now. I'll take you to see him. But before we go there, we have to go through the processing center. They have to ask you a bunch of questions. Make sure that God really wants you and that it's your time. to go see God. He goes, okay. So I tell him, you got to tell them when you get there, they're going to ask you a bunch of questions. You got to tell them exactly what was going on today, what your plans were, what God told you to do, so they can verify all this. And he's, okay, you know, he's eating this all up. Then I ask him, they're going to also need to know what drugs you've taken today, because that can affect your answers. He goes, okay. So I said, well, what were you taking today? Well, he says he was smoking a little pot that was laced with PCP. All right. That explains everything. So off we go to county mental health. Along the way, you know, we're talking and he's explaining to me about his vision of God coming to him after getting stoned and sitting there listening to music. How God had told him that when his sister gets home from school, he was supposed to rape her and make her a woman. So she was, when he killed her, that she would enter heaven as a woman instead of a child. And then he was supposed to commit suicide and go be in heaven with her. And apparently their home life was so bad that he felt murder-suicide was the only solution for the two of them. So anyways, I get to CMH, and that place is kind of a joke. You go in a door and they got a big lobby area where you sit the person down, and then you go to a little window and talk to the nurse and tell them what you got, and then if the nurse thinks that it's worthwhile, she'll go back and get a doctor, and the doctor will come out and talk to the person, and if they feel that he's a danger to himself or to others, they'll commit him for a 72-hour watch. A lot of times they wouldn't take people. I think it had more to do whether or not they had any open beds, whether or not the person was actually a danger to themselves or others. And if they wouldn't take the person, then we had to take them down to book them into county jail, and county jail would have to put them in the rubber room and isolate them until they came down off of whatever it was they were on, and then charge them with whatever crimes they had committed, or try and get them committed to a mental institution. So anyways, we're there. Doctor comes out to talk to him, asks me to unhandcuff him, which I do. And I'm standing back and I let him talking to the doctor, and he's telling the doctor all about his visions from God and about God telling him to rape his little sister and kill her and then kill himself, and that God had sent me to bring him a new plan, and so he was there to go to heaven. Well, the doctor said that, you know, played along with it and said, okay, well, we're going to go back here in the back room and talk some more. So they take him back into intake, and the doctor comes back out and gives me the paperwork and says, okay, they're going to put him on a 72-hour hold. So I clear my call, get back on the radio, find out that the parents were too busy at work to come get the little girl, so the officer had to take the little girl back to the substation and leave her with the desk officer until the parents could get off work and come get her. Talk about a bunch of bullshit. You know, you got your little girl there, older brother was threatening to rape her and kill her and then commit suicide, and you're too damn busy to leave work and come home. Just bullshit. So anyways, I found out, you know, okay, I do all my paperwork, you know, crime report, arrest report, and intake report for county mental health. Pass that all off to the detectives. The detectives will contact CMH, find out if they're going to be committing him for a longer term, or if they're going to pass the paperwork on down to the city attorney's office and press charges against him. And if they're going to press charges, you know, they'll send the paperwork on to the city attorney's office, and then they'll have a hearing and either commit him to a mental health facility or charge him with the crimes. Well, as it turned out, he got committed for a 60-day stint in county mental health. And that was pretty much the end of it, other than I did hear a couple days later, I guess the parents came up to the department, to the substation, and wanted to thank me, but I was off duty that day. They wanted to thank me for saving their little girl and not hurting their son, and putting him in CMH instead of in jail. That was pretty much the last I ever heard of it. So it's one of them cases where I feel pretty good about it, because it could have gone a lot worse. Yeah, I had to lie and bullshit the kid to get him to cooperate. Well, luckily he was stoned enough to believe my BS story I fed him. And thankfully I didn't have to take his life. The little girl didn't get hurt. Another one of them stories of the big city. Anyways, that's it. That's this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed my story. Hope I put enough detail in there and kept it short enough. If you did like it, hit the like button, give me some comments, and subscribe, and come back next Thursday for another story. I got a bunch of them. Bye-bye.